We've got more birthdays coming up in my house, and one of my daughters is asking for a Minnie Mouse themed birthday. She's making something, and today I'm making her a pinata shaped like Minnie Mouse's bow for her party. I don't have a printable or anything like that for this pinata. I just stared at pictures on the internet until I had the basic shape imprinted on my mind. So I started with 2 basic plain white sheets of paper and arranged them until they were the height that I wanted for my pinata, and then I taped them together. Then I sketched out the sides of the bow. Now, Minnie's bow has a top and a bottom loop, but the top loop is much taller than the bottom loop. So I visualized my paper into thirds and had the top loop take up 2/3 while the bottom loop had the rest. It kind of looks like a bean. And once I was happy with the shape, I cut it out, and then I had a template for my bow. So I took that shape and I traced it onto the cardboard. Then I flipped it over and traced it again, giving me both sides of the bow. I connected the 2 shapes, making some adjustments to the size of the middle until I found a balance that I liked, and then I cut it out. Then I traced that shape onto more cardboard so that I have 2 bows, front and back, for my pinata. The rest of my cardboard pieces was cut into 4-inch strips for the size of the pinata, and when I cut these, I made a mental note of which direction the cardboard was facing. Because of the corrugation inside the cardboard, it likes to bend one direction, but is more stubborn trying to bend the other way, and I wanted to cut the strips so that they like to bend, which will make it easier to wrap around the shape. I roll the strips to loosen them up and make them super pliable, and then get to taping. I like to put the pinata shape on top of a tissue box so that it's easier to just line up the strip and tape it to the top all in one go instead of trying to lift and wiggle and reach around things. And while I'm taping that all up, this just seems like the perfect time to share my pinata opinion. So I have a personal issue with pinatas decorated like favorite characters. It just never sat well with me to have a mermaid-themed party just to decapitate an Ariel pinata, or to see a child who desperately loves unicorns smack one to smithereens in front of all their friends. Like, does no one else find that odd? Is it really just me? So I try to make pinatas that are objects that are okay to break apart, like dinosaur eggs or treasure chests. Obviously, it doesn't always work out that way, like the Arctic Fox pinata I made for my other daughter in another video, but I do try to have pinatas that do not look like characters. Hence just having the bow pinata this time instead of the entire Minnie Mouse head. But let me know in the comments what your opinion is on pinata characters. After one side is fully taped up, this is the moment to add the string before it gets all closed up. I poked 2 holes at the top of the bow on each side and then inserted the string. I'm using some cord that my husband bought to fix the blinds, and it's not just sitting around waiting to be used up, but if there's like an official pinata string to use, then I don't know about it. But I loop my string in and out, leaving a really long tail, and then I tape it up on the inside to secure it in place. Then I add more cardboard to give more support, because this is the connection that'll hold the entire weight of the pinata as it is being repeatedly smacked with a bat. Then it's time to place the other bow shape on top and tape it all shut. And there is my naked pinata shape. and I forgot to film this part, but before I moved on to the next step, I took some larger pieces of masking tape and wrapped them around both edges to help hold it together more tightly. It's now time to cover it all up, so I took some regular white washable school glue and thinned it out with a little water, and then used that to attach white paper. In my previous pinata video, I used large pieces of butcher paper, but it's not necessary, and I'm using plain white printer paper here to cover up all the cardboard. And we have a guest appearance by Charlie, my cat crafting companion. He is currently judging me for letting the glue drip onto the table, but I inform him that this table has been through much worse than washable school glue, which can simply be wiped up afterwards with a sponge. I add white paper because it makes the colorful tissue fringe brighter and more true to color than if I glued it on top of the brown cardboard. The paper that sticks out over the edge gets cut into strips and then glued onto the sides. This also helps hold the pinata together and adds a little more strength to the joints. Once the front shape is covered and dry, I flip it over and do it all over again on the back. The edges are still looking rough, so I cut some strips of white paper and we'll glue those all around the sides, fully covering the pinata with white. My daughter and I found this hot pink sparkly tissue paper at Walmart and she declared it perfect. So this is what I will use to decorate the pinata. However, I would like to lodge an official complaint against whomever decided that the best place to put a label sticker would be directly on the fragile tissue paper. After struggling to get it off without tearing, I decided to call that section a loss and just cut it away. Which was fine because it comes 10 sheets to a pack and I ended up only needing 9 anyway. To make the fringe, I lay all of the sheets on top of each other and then fold over a roughly 2-inch section and then cut it off, which gave me 4 to 5 inch wide strips of tissue paper when they're unfolded. Once I had cut all the paper into strips, I took a small stack of strips and folded them over again, really creasing that fold this time, and then cut up into the fold all down the length, making a fringe. For this pinata, I decided to go with a wider, more chunky fringe, but I have also done thinner, more delicate strips in the past. It just depends on which type of look works best for the project. I cut more than one strip at a time because otherwise it would take so much longer. And once they're all cut, I just gently pull out each individual strip of fringe. If my fringe were thinner, I would have stacked and cut them differently, but because I used a wider fringe, they didn't rip when I pulled them apart. And now I have this lovely stack of pink sparkly tissue paper ready to get put on the pinata. Starting at the bottom of the shape and working my way up to the top, I attach each strip of tissue paper with a thin line of more watered down glue. I don't cover the entire shape with glue because the fringe should hang loosely, and it's through overlapping each line that the entire pinata gets covered without too much white showing through. Once it is all pink, I take some scissors and trim up the edges so that the bow shape is still clearly visible. Once the front and back are covered, I work my way up the sides, always starting down low and working my way up, even on the insides of the top loops, starting down low and working my way up to the top. Minnie's bow is all pink, but it needs some white polka dots. So I searched all around my house, trying out circles of various sizes until I found one that I liked. That turned out to be soup can size, which actually measures 2.5 inches in diameter. So I traced 12 soup can circles onto a piece of white paper and then layered 3 sheets of paper together, cutting out all 12 circles. So I had 36 circles to work with. I also cut out some thin cartoony strips out of the black paper to add as detailed accents for the bow. The circles and the black paper strips I just attached using regular white glue, not watered down this time. After cutting a secret flap to fill it with candy, the piñata is done. It's ready to be filled and destroyed as per tradition. When my daughter saw it, she loved it and she's so excited for her party. I will be making a lot more for her party, so if you want to see more videos coming up later this month, feel free to subscribe so you can get notified. And feel free to check out my channel to see all the other things I've been making. This is She's Making Something. Thanks for watching.